Hello, I'm Ryan Appenberger, and this is my oral history project. And this is
Hi there, I'm Simmer. I am a junior at ASU and I'm a kinesiology major.
Coolio. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Simmer.
My pleasure.
And do your video to watch.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
My pleasure. All right, we're gonna jump right into it. So
Let's do it.
this is my first question. Starts with above you. Well, not like above you, but in terms of your lineage, I guess. If you could, not physically above you, you could tell me just kind of like a rundown of your parents, how they immigrated to the United States, their story to getting here, um, and then that's about it. Once they get here, you
Yeah,
can
for
tell me
sure.
more.
For sure. So, my dad was born in Delhi, and he was raised with his two parents, and he had two siblings, and he worked really hard throughout high school, throughout elementary school, high school. He worked really hard. Studies were pretty much the number one priority, and the way he came to America is he originally got into IIT, which is a university in India,
Hmm.
for textiles, but he didn't want to do textiles. He wanted to do computer engineering or
Hmm.
IT technology, something along that realm. So but like in India's in university, they choose your major for you. You don't choose your own major at that time. So yeah, so he got into IIT, prestigious university, even that prestigious university, but the majors that they gave you were very selective.
Hmm.
So he got an offer from the University of Nebraska to go there for computer engineering, which is exactly what he wanted to do, and he got a scholarship as well. So he kind of left his parents, he left his brothers, and left his family to pursue this opportunity in America. And uh, when he came to America, he basically he like sent money to his parents. He like tried to take care of them as much as he could when because he couldn't be there physically.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's basically how he got to America. And there was a lot of kind of strife with his green card and visa and things like that. He originally didn't get accepted for his visa the first time when he wanted to go to the University of Nebraska. But the second time around, he got accepted. The second time he applied, he got accepted, and then he ended up going to Nebraska. My mom, she was born in Ludhiana, and her parents moved. So like their entire family moved to Canada because her dad got so like my grandfather got a job there, and they were also sponsored by another family. And in Canada, if you were sponsored by another family, you were basically allowed in because if a family says, hey, if they don't do well, if they don't perform well, then and if they can't provide for themselves, we will provide for them to help them get off their feet. So it was kind of like a win-win situation for like Canada and the family, I guess.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that's how my mom, her brother, and her parents ended up in Canada.
and then
And then from Canada, yeah, and then her parents are still in Canada, but she came to Creighton University for her master's program. So she, sorry,
the Jesuits.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Um,
So she came to Creighton, and the like her father, or sorry, not her father, my dad and my mom. So they kind of like got an arranged marriage,
mhm.
and yeah, but that's how she ended up in the U.S.
And then you grew out of a corn husk, straight out of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was growing up a Cornhusker fan. My dad played badminton, and yeah, I don't know why badminton was relevant, but yeah,
Important.
yeah,
Very important. So that sort of starts that's your foundation. That's how uh, you became, how your roots, your tree, whatever your roots are planted. So then I'm gonna jump forward. into you, to your life. That is a weird phrasing. My second question. So what was mainly when you were younger, kind of maybe as you were growing up before uh, sort of starting school, and before I guess I guess that would be before moving to Arizona. Um, like when you were a young kid, what was your perception slash understanding of your own ethnicity when you were a little tiny simmer?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And for context, I moved to Arizona when I was about 7 years old.
Yeah.
But previously I was born in Nebraska, and lived in Nebraska. But for my ethnicity, to be honest, I really didn't think too much about it until I reached kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but before that, I like we had so much of our family. Like my grandparents would visit all the time, and like I would be surrounded by people of my own ethnicity growing up.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was pretty confident because that's all I was really surrounded with. Like we had white friends and stuff, right? But like
The most
every
people,
Sunday, sorry,
like the
yeah, a
majority,
majority of the people,
you knew
yeah,
were
majority of the people, yeah, exactly. And like on Sundays, right?
mm,
There weren't a lot of us. There weren't a lot of Sikhs. There weren't a lot of, I guess, brown people, honestly,
yeah,
in like
especially in Nebraska.
yeah, in Nebraska, right? Especially like out in the outskirts of Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we lived in Omaha for more context. But yeah, so there weren't a lot of us. So basically, we all like kind of banded together, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the environment I was raised in. Was just surrounded by people of my own ethnicity.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as I went to kindergarten, and preschool was fine because like I don't know, kids don't really see much race. At least I think in preschool, like
Yeah.
it's not much of a discriminating factor.
You haven't been
But
taught.
as yeah, exactly. You haven't been taught how to hate. You haven't been taught how
Yeah.
to make fun of other people yet. But like kindergarten was a little different because people are a little older.
Mm-hmm.
They like pick on other people here and there.
Yeah.
They might be a little more curious, but they don't know how to be curious in the right way.
Yeah.
So they might pick on you or like try to pull off your turban or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if that
Um,
answered the question.
yeah, that does answer my question.
Okay,
The
cool.
kind of like, that idea of, uh, your world was your family. So it's not like, I don't want my question to be that like, when did you realize you were different? Because, you're not
Hmm.
different. It's just everybody else, uh, most of the people you knew were family. So everybody looked very
Yeah,
familiar. Um,
yeah,
and then our, getting into, oh, I hate that, getting our world, but like getting into, I guess, more open as you open like your doors and your circle, you see more of
yeah. I was like more exposed. Like
what the
before I got more
majority,
exposed.
the
Yeah.
hopefully soon the minority. That'd be cool. Get these more less white people. My next question kind of goes into that question. So like, was there a time, and if there was, when was it, when you kind of started to feel like you, like a lot of the other kids were, like there was a difference between you and other kids, whether it was like, what the kids, how the kid, well, obviously the biggest difference being like in skin color, or if there were like other things of like what these kids were into, like what kids like had. I don't know, like
Yeah,
like
definitely.
that kind
Definitely. I think there was a very key point when like there was like a sudden shift,
of.
and that point was 9/11.
Yeah,
And a lot of people speak on 9/11 saying like it was a horrible thing, it was a tragedy, but it was a point when the United States all banded together against like one common enemy. Like that's something that's said a lot. Like that's what was said in my English class that you
yeah,
were in. How like 9/11 was like like a point where we all formed and like yeah. So but like saying it in that way kind of is ignorant towards the other side of things where
mhm,
as a result of 9/11 the first person shot was a sick man who
yeah,
was planting flowers or taking care of his garden outside of a gas station, right? He was shot like multiple times. And So that was kind of the point where when I was growing up in school, like suddenly sounds of plane noises would be made while I was walking in. And it'll be like meow, right? Like because I have a turban on. I didn't have a beard, but I have a turban on. And every day on the news was this guy wearing a turban
Mm,
with a beard. And it's like you associate that with these type of people. And generalization as a whole is wrong, right? But not only were they generalizing, but they were also generalizing incorrectly, if that
yeah.
makes sense. Where it's like Muslims and Sikhs, we are very different
Mhm.
people. But like people like both people, right? Like but like different in
Yeah.
faiths. So I think that would be the biggest difference. So like you can call the rag towel and like or rag head, towel head, and like oh there's a bomb underneath your turban. Ha 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 jokes,
Mhm.
right? But like uh that's kind of the point where I realized, wait, I'm not like these people. I am different, and they see me as different,
Yeah.
as not like them.
It goes to the in when you we mentioned at first that we all band together. It kind of shows
Hmm.
who America sees as we and who they are, uh, who gets to be a part of that
That's
collective.
a that's a really good point. That's
Yeah,
a very very good point.
which sucks. It's,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. It's probably a good thing I didn't say what I was going to say. I don't know if I can use that kind of language in my school project,
Mhm.
but that sentiment is there.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, you definitely have probably mentioned this and answered this question already, but just flat out, what was, do you think, the biggest difficulty growing up in that kind of space? If it was something else, but I have a feeling it was probably related. Um, growing up with like how, relations with other kids, even like adults and teachers, what like the biggest difficulty in that regard was.
Yeah, definitely. Like after 9/11, like people we knew were dying, right? Like people that we like our families knew, our family friends, they were dying. It's like, wait, what's going on? Like, why are people dying all of a sudden when they didn't do anything wrong? And I was still young, right? So I didn't really know them that well. I wasn't like attached to them. So
Hmm.
personally, I would say like at airports, it was always the random checks. We would get random
Yeah,
checks, and I was a kid, and I'll still get randomly checked, right? And I had one of my other friends, Monik, who
yeah,
he asked one of the officers. He was like, "Hey, so what are like the parameters for these random checks?" And the officer goes, "Oh, like abnormal head wear, abnormal hair." And it's like he literally just described someone of our religion, like the
yeah,
tenets of our religion. He literally just described it. And it's like, hold on, something is wrong here. Something is wrong with the system. But personally, I would say just after 9/11, just everything changed. Like I was being like, yeah, everything changed after 9/11.
yeah. So then, well, this question has obviously definitely been answered. It was, were kids mean or insensitive or racist growing up? I have a feeling that is
Yes,
very easy.
definitely. I
Yeah,
mean, there were some kids who weren't, right? There were
yeah,
some kids who, like, I have to give them credit, right? They were genuine. They were nice. They were great kids, right? I mean, like, for example, right? Like,
for
like
example.
they understood what it like somewhat of, or they tried to understand at least what it meant to be in another person's shoes.
Yeah,
Other kids, they just like they had no idea what it was like, and they took their they were white. They took their white privilege, right, and they asserted it, and
yeah,
they asserted that dominance. And as a kid, you didn't know what was going on, but so you just accepted it, right? I was still friends with the kids that were doing that,
hmm,
right? Like that's the thing. That's the thing. Like I had no idea, but I was still friends with them,
yeah,
and I didn't know that what they were doing was necessarily wrong, right? I thought it was just like, oh, kids are kids. It's a funny joke. Other people are laughing. That means I should laugh too, and it's funny, right? Not that it's wrong, but that is funny.
yeah. It was kind of a, a part of like feeling like an attempt of fitting in, because that seemed like it was the normal thing to do, and I guess the normal thing
Yeah,
to do was to go along with it, no matter how effed up it was. It was
nice.
very much. Um, so then on a kind of, I guess on the home front, I guess at home, weird way to describe it. Did your parents ever kind of, because I know um, there's kind of, especially with like with black kids growing up, there's like the talk about racism and what they will likely face, well, not even likely, will face growing up in a white society, um,
Right.
or mainly a white power hierarchy, I guess
Hmm.
is more accurate. Was there that kind of a talk of that regard that you got at home growing up, or like were there ever conversations about this kind of stuff uh, at home?
Yeah, for sure. There were conversations about like, what are you going to say when people ask you these questions? What are you going to say when people ask you that? Like when people see a turban on your head, what do
Mm-hmm.
you say? Like, what do you tell them? Do you just say it's my religion, or do you go more in depth and actually explain the reasoning for something that is a part of our identity,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how we're recognized. Do you, when someone says like, oh, why don't you cut your hair? Do you say it's my religion, or do you say, well, it's a part of me, it's a part of who I am, right? So like, there are, we didn't necessarily go through scenarios like if a cop pulls you over, what do you do? Like, how
Yeah,
do you act? Or like, if you're in an airport and someone's looking at you weird, what do you do? How do you act? Like, we didn't go through those because we didn't really know what to do in those
mm-hmm.
scenarios either. Like 9/11 happened in 2001, I believe, right?
Yeah,
So, we were just like kind of getting like African Americans, they've been a part of this whole
mm-hmm.
white supremacy thing for many years, many generations, right? We were just like kind of just getting started,
Being thrown
you
into.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah, like that foundation was kind of just being built. So we didn't have much of those talks, just more of like, how do you explain yourself? How do you explain your beliefs to people who don't know and are genuinely asking?
yeah, that's that's a very good point. I guess kind of on that idea of foundation. Um, I mean, I guess I feel like I don't want to give or America does the United States doesn't deserve as much credit. It was like I don't know if I want to make comparisons, but the same kind of like getting thrown into like Jim Crow era, same kind of level of hate. If that does that feel like accurate? Well, I mean, obviously you can't be like, oh, I know what it was like in Jim Crow, but
Yeah.
like a
I
fair,
mean, like we could all use the same bathrooms, right? Like
yeah,
like it wasn't to that extent where it was like straight up segregation,
yeah,
straight up like anything like that. But I mean, people were still getting killed for their
yeah,
race, for what they look like, and that wasn't changing.
yeah. It wasn't so much in the societal uh, oppression, more so in the violence, I guess, behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Um, so then this is a I feel like this is an interesting question. We'll see if it actually is. It could be wrong. Uh, so did you feel like you yourself were an American, like the kind of I mean not so much because there is this kind of image of what like an American an all American kid is. Usually it's like I feel like Disney definitely or definitely kind of promotes this
Blonde hair, blue eyes,
exactly
white. Yeah.
basketball team.
Hmm.
I mean that usually isn't it's not a requirement, but it definitely plays into it. Like
Yeah.
stronger, kind of very specific in their gender roles, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
That image. Do you ever feel like growing up, um, whether or not you were an American growing up, or if that was something that was reserved, like a title reserved for white kids?
Like if I was like whether I identified as American or.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like there was a kind of like that was a title you were being kept from um,
Mhm.
in any way?
Interesting. I don't think that was like ever a title that I was trying to pursue,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. I played basketball, I played football growing up, right? Like I was one of the best basketball, not to like toot my own horn, but like
Sure.
I was like one of the best basketball players when I was growing up, right? Like on my team. And I would show up wearing jeans. to basketball games, and people
Yeah.
would look at me so weird. But like I didn't care. I was like, no, jeans are comfortable for me. I
Yeah.
would go to bed wearing jeans. Like
Your magic.
I was, yeah, exactly. I was weird, right? But like I just didn't care, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So I would wear like I would like try to match my turban to the color of jeans that I was wearing. It's just
Get,
like
maybe someday I'll buy you for your birthday some denim some denim turban. I'd
But
probably
yeah, and like what?
I feel like that'd be uncomfortable.
No, that would be so uncomfortable. I would probably hate that. But I appreciate the intent there.
Yeah.
Um,
Dream.
but yeah, so like that whole American title, like I wasn't really trying to pursue it. My parents wanted me to fit in, right? Like I was like they put me on the basketball team for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's to get friends and not be like your typical Indian dude who like smells a little weird and like these are stereotypes. These are
Yeah.
stereotypes. I say.
Yeah.
I don't like these aren't all true, but like smells weird and like has an Indian accent and like eats Indian food all the time and like all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like all those stereotypes that people identify as Indian,
Hmm.
like they didn't want like me to grow up like that. So they put me in basketball, they put me in sports, football, they badminton, things like that. And not necessarily to be American, not necessarily to not be Indian, but just to like be myself
Hmm.
and do what I enjoy. Not saying that, hey, just because we're Indian doesn't mean basketball's off the table.
Yeah.
Or just because you're not the same color as every other kid on your team, that you can't do this because you can. So
Mhm.
kind of like that. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I like that. And you obviously proved that that was your forte. Uh, not only rocking on the court in middle school, but somehow still playing today.
I
Uh,
mean, my prime was like third grade, if we're being
that's
honest.
fair.
Like that's when I peaked, and then everybody else got better, and I just stopped getting better. And I was like, wait, what happened?
I mean, at least
But
you
yeah,
did have time, though. That's what
yeah,
matters.
yeah, yeah.
My thing is, I was tall for like one team because all the kids were like 2 years younger than me.
You had like that one moment that nobody will ever forget, where you stole that ball in tryouts.
Yeah, the only reason I got on the team,
Yeah,
the moment
exactly.
I'll never forget is when I spent like half a game trying to score a point. It took like 30 minutes.
We wanted everybody to score.
Like I was the I was the the worst kid on the team.
Oh, and I have this picture. I don't know if like hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay,
I want to show you.
this is an important addition.
This is a
Oh my
very
god.
important
I love that we're next to each other with our goggles, our sports goggles. That is, I feel like I have that picture somewhere, but that's one of my favorite pictures.
It's never leaving. Ah, okay.
Maybe I'll ask you if you could take a picture of that and send that to me, so I can put
Oh,
that.
for sure, I will.
That'd be great. Um,
Definitely.
I love that.
But like also like you can notice on the team like everybody else is white, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm the only
it's really
minority on that team.
very
There I am
obvious.
smiling ear to ear.
Very obvious.
I'm just surprised I wasn't wearing jeans in that picture.
I I wouldn't be surprised. Um, so we're now down to the last three questions. And we can
Awesome.
blast through them if you like. So the next one is, I mean, you kind of also answered this. So have you ever felt like you had to change who you were, or like what you were interested in, what you did, how you dressed, any stuff like that, in order to like fit in better with the crowd?
Interesting. Um, I think a little bit of change, yeah.
Mm,
Like I wanted to fit in, right? I wanted to wear like the stuff that everybody else wears.
yeah.
I wanted to wear the shoes that everybody else wore. And then, like my mom was like, no, you need art support. I was like, okay,
They,
fine.
they helped you out big time.
Yeah. Oh, she definitely did. my lack of back problems are gonna be because of her. I think for it. Um, but like, yeah, a little bit of change was there where I wanted to like. Can I name names like in our friend group, or is it like?
But yeah, I mean, it's not like they're not in my class, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, okay, for sure. Like, like right, like my friend group was like Theo, Seth, Grant, Jack, like all those people were part of my friend group, right? So I like try to change who I was a little bit to like become better friends with them, right? Like I was an innocent kid, but like
yeah.
I would try to like I guess give up a little of my innocence, right? To
Hmm.
like and become better friends with them, right? Or like stuff like that. I don't know if that makes sense necessarily, but
Well,
like
yeah, like you were pretty much like trying to be into the things they did. Make yourself cooler because they were
yeah,
the generally cooler, the cool kid group.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like the reason I hung out with them mainly was because I played basketball and they played basketball,
Yeah,
right? And like the people you hang out with at recess is the people you hang out with.
all the time.
So yeah, exactly. So yeah, so there was a little bit of change there, but I think I'm a lot more confident in myself now to like as to who I am, what my
Hmm.
morals are, what my I guess where I'm like steadfast in my ideals, like yeah,
In your identity.
in my identity. Yeah,
You
but
know,
like obviously I'm always open to improving as well.
yeah, you know who Simmer is, and it's not. Uh, of course, we're always adapting, but you know
Yeah,
who you are
exactly.
inside. Uh,
Yeah.
so then, well, boom. You're the perfect interviewer or interviewee because you just led right into my next question. Um, and then you
Good
also
time on you.
basically answered it anyway. But I guess so. Are there still struggles you face with your identity in general? Um,
Mhm.
if they're big, small, teeny tiny, humongo, probably not humongo.
Like in terms of like how I feel about my identity or how other people like approach me about my identity.
How you feel yourself?
How I feel good about my identity.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of practice with answering questions, like common,
yeah.
like frequently asked questions, right? Like
You
that's
got
just the
practice.
list in my head. Where it's like if somebody asks me a question, it's like, okay, well, this is the one,
Hmm.
right? Because I've had a lot of practice with that. And also just like I guess who I've surrounded myself with has also enhanced that a lot. Like I go to this Camp Sikvirsa, right?
Hmm.
They teach you it's like kind of like a home away from home where it's like you are surrounded by people who are just like you.
Yeah.
And that whole difference of skin color, of turban wearing, not turban wearing, anything like that, that just doesn't exist at
Hmm.
all whatsoever. So they were a great identity booster, I guess you could say, because they taught us a lot about my religion, why we should be confident in ourselves, why our ancestors gave up their lives so that we can be who we are with our identity.
Hmm.
And yeah, just things like that. So, and I also think who I've surrounded myself outside of camp, right? Like you, like all of our other friends, right? Like they're great people, right? And they don't necessarily discriminate. They don't necessarily judge you on who you are. They're very welcoming and very understanding, empathetic.
Very, very positive. Very positive answer. Thank you. Obviously, I'm
Yeah.
very,
Oh yeah, no problem. You
very glad
deserve it.
I can uh, do my little two part, my little part.
Go ahead and toot your own horn in that thing that you write.
Yeah.
Oh, your oral presentation. Be like, yeah, he said I'm awesome.
Said I'm cool, so I think I kind of get a good grade. Saying, but it all also definitely goes in the same sense. There's
Thank you, thank you.
so much that I've learned from you, and I felt very blessed. Feels weird, but very lucky to uh,
Mhm.
to have such a cool friend who has helped me
Oh,
feel safe in my own,
thank
well,
you.
not feel safe, but learn my own identity. Uh,
Thank you so much. I feel like I can actually have a conversation about musicals now.
that's
Without
pretty cool. That's very exciting for me. Um, so then I don't want to keep you too long from your dinner.
yeah,
So this
for
is the
sure.
last question, uh, which is kind of like a looking outward sort of question. So then, what do you wish people knew about your own experience that would make them kind of more understanding of, you know, uh, just more understanding us in general, but like what is something you think you would like to highlight from your life experience as like a very important note to share? That makes sense. That I can definitely clarify.
No, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think one note that I'd really like to share is that it's kind of like the idea of oneness, right? Where it's like, this might sound like ethereal in a way, right? But like oneness, where like, yeah, like you're different from me. Like you are, like you like different foods, you like different colors, you're different from me, right? I'm different from everybody else. But in the end, we're all just like, we're all one, right?
Mm.
We're all like, we're all human. We all got the same blood. We all got, like, we're all the same, right? In terms of who we, like what we are, right?
Mm.
So take this idea, like take the idea of oneness and just try to see each other as a part of yourself, as a way. And like when you interact with people, right, interact with them as like seeing them as a part of yourself. And I hate, like, not hate, but like in our religion, right, we stress this idea of oneness, that there's God in everybody,
Mm.
right? But like obviously for those who might be atheists, right, or those who like might not believe in the same religion, like they don't have to, right? But even if you don't believe in God, just like treat each other like as if they're a part of you, as if they're an extension of yourself, or as if each individual has God within them, and that we are all a part of that oneness.
Yeah, you can definitely take the same idea, even if you don't believe in a higher power. You think that like
Yeah,
we're all made out of the same atoms, the same. We all come from stardust, and they look the same stars. Uh,
yeah, exactly.
we're
So it's
all
like, why are we treating each other differently when we're all literally the same?
yeah. Just watch Star Trek. We could be like them. So easy. Just, we're all one big family. Uh,
Yeah,
we can you can celebrate your uniqueness, but also understand. Now it's my preach turn. Understand that we're all connected and we all have commonalities. Everybody likes food. Boom.
everybody loves food. Yeah,
Everybody loves
yeah,
food.
exactly.
Everybody should like water. Um,
Yeah,
everybody likes. There's so many things that unite us, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
what I'm saying
and
doesn't matter.
yeah, and I love what you said, like celebrating uniqueness. I think that's great. Like celebrating uniqueness, but together.
We should go on the road and be lecturers. We can
Just
heal
go out
the
and preach.
preach our own brand of not even religion, just our own brand of thought. But
We
I'm
could
going.
probably start a podcast.
Well, actually, be pretty cool. Pretty good.
That would be pretty cool.
Got it. Well, thank you very much. I'm not going to end the Zoom meeting yet, but I'm going
Okay.
to end the recording.
Okay.
But thank you very much for speaking with me and speaking with my many viewers. One, my future.
We're famous. We're basically famous
We're
at this
basically
point.
famous. Might as well.
Yeah.
I hope this is okay to keep in. But yes, thank you. Stop the recording right now.